suspense, the tension, the suspense. That's what that music does for me. Anyway, welcome back. It's Lee Houghton from Get Knowledge, joined again by Alison Tansey. Ali, how the devil are you?
Hi, Lee. Yes, I'm good. How are you?
Really good, thank you. Really good. What's happening in your world since last time we spoke?
Oh my goodness. So my dog's having puppies.
Wow.
Yeah.
Congratulations.
Thank you. There's nothing like piling on the extra bits of stress that you've already on top of what you've already got, is there? So yeah, she's having puppies. She's going to be due in 4 weeks. And she had a little what they call it thing where you find out what they've got inside. And she's got 4 anyway. Ultrasound. She had ultrasound. Wow. She's got 4, at minimum 4. So it's probably be 5.
Yeah, amazing. Well, congratulations. Congratulations. No, that's good. Really good. Really good. And then Simply Brilliance. How Simply Brilliance? What, anything happened with Simply Brilliance in the last few weeks as well? Yeah. The other thing.
Yeah. It's been great. So had some great conversations with really progressive organisations recently who are looking to find great boutique and unique suppliers, and really excited. So had a bit of a kind of, oh my goodness, what has happened over the summer? It's like everybody just stopped, down tools and just stopped, but a bit of a heart-stopping moment. And then September's come and people are going, I really need to find a supplier to support me with this leadership development or this management training or the soft skills, this D&I strategy I've got, some digital products. So there's loads going on, which is brilliant.
Yeah, perfect. Well, thank you for finding time for this conversation again today. So we had a conversation probably like 4 or 5 weeks ago now where we introduced the concept of upskilling your line managers could save you millions. That conversation didn't finish, so we wanted to continue and talk about line managers again today. So I guess just to frame the, do you want to frame the topic of conversation for today?
Well, I thought it'd be really nice to talk about the behaviours, the key behaviours that really underpin the role of a leader in getting the best out of the team. Ultimately, it's absolutely critical that managers and leaders, and I think they're almost one of the same. To be honest, no people kind of try and separate them, but actually the reality is, if you've got a team around you, you need to look after them, and you need to be able to lead them. So I thought behaviours would be great.
Yeah, perfect. No, I love that as well. And just picking up on something you said, yeah, I think the manager and leader thing, we manage things, but we lead people. But those things all form part of the same role and task, doesn't it? And I love the framing of the behaviour part of it, because I think we've got a BEST model. That's not our view of the model, although it is, but it kind of stands for something, B, E, S, and T. And T is for targets. But then we say that customer satisfaction, so the S is customer satisfaction. If you deliver customer satisfaction, you will hit your targets. And then the E is employee engagement. So employee engagement will deliver customer satisfaction, which will deliver your business targets. But then the fundamental thing at the bottom, the B part of it, is the leadership behavior. Whether that is a line manager, whether that's a senior leader, then the environment that you create is created largely by how you behave. And your employees are engaged if you can create, and you're the leader that you're talking about here. So what does leadership mean to you, Ali? And when we're talking about the right behaviours, what do you believe the right behaviours are?
So I personally believe, and I certainly believe, through experience of working for great leaders and not so great leaders, and myself making loads and loads of mistakes as a leader, is that the number one skill, I suppose, and is being able to put yourself in the shoes of those that are in your team, ultimately. And so having empathy, being able to understand what's going on for them, and being able to articulate to yourself really what their needs are and how you're going to meet those needs as a leader. So Ken Blanchard and many others have talked about, I think it's many years ago, started talking about servant leadership, and that for me is absolutely key. The best managers that I've worked for have never been self-serving ones. They've always been the ones that have, yes, they set the direction of travel, but they've been the ones that have really asked how I am and understood me as an individual and liked me and cared about me as an individual, ultimately.
Yeah, so what you just used the word servant leadership. What, just so we're all on the same page, what's your definition of servant leadership, or how would you sum up servant leadership to you?
So leadership is the vision and the direction of travel and the goal setting and helping your team understand where you're going and why you're going there. And the servant side of it is being able to be there for your team to enable them to get the best out of their role. So whether that's making sure that they're fully upskilled, whether it's making sure that they've got all of the things that motivate them in place, and you're looking after their needs, whether it's wanting to work 24/7 in an office because you're young and that's where your life is, or you don't want to be in the office at all, if possible, because at home is where your life is. Whatever that is for that individual, being really inclusive and really understanding that everybody's needs are different and working to meet those needs. So that team is then thriving and able to deliver all of those performance metrics that you get measured on.
Yeah, no, completely. Thank you for that. I think because the focus of this primarily be line managers. What I've found is that line manager typically for the first leadership position that you find yourself in, or and what has got you to that place is not your leadership ability, your leadership capability. It may have been how efficient or effective you were at doing the role, the operator role, the process role, and then you've been recognised as somebody with potential for development. And then when you're in the line manager role or leadership role, and you're then tasked with becoming a servant leader, that's a bit of a shift in terms of mindset, because rather than selfishly orientated to selflessly orientated. How would you encourage somebody becomes more selfless or more servant in their leadership style?
Well, you're right. It is a difficult one, and particularly for first line leaders who are making that transition from being everybody's friend to being what they think they need to be deemed a manager, for example. And I think it's really important. I sound like a politician because I've just dodged the question, but I think it's really important that organisations understand that people can't do it without support. They cannot do it themselves. They cannot make that jump. They will flounder, and they will cause real problems for themselves, real problems for the teams, and real problems for the organisations. Sink or swim is not a great management development tactic. So firstly, you have to bring in consultants and suppliers to support, who know how to do this stuff, to support your people on the very first rung of that ladder of management. And that will save you money, it will save you time and effort in the long run, because when those people that are very well skilled up down here move through the organisation, they're going to move well seamlessly, and they're going to help build and engage others and create a great brand and culture within the organisation. So starting right down here is really important. I think if you're a first line manager and you're struggling, I think you asking for support and asking for investment in your development is the best thing that you can do, because I really believe that you can't do it on your own. Having a great line manager yourself as a mentor is the absolute fundamentals, and you often can't control that. Reaching out, if you have no luck with any of that, reaching out to a peer or your leader's peer or somebody to support your mentor outside your organisation is at the very least what you can do and what will really help you.
Yeah, no, completely agree. Completely agree. What I find is a number of people, they fall into the. In fact, actually, are you a good leader, Ali?
Am I a good one? I don't think I'm the best, if I'm completely honest. I try really, really hard. And I absolutely get very involved with people and really try and understand what they need. And but some, you know, I'm very much I can be quite I'm very ideas led, so I'm off with the fairies sometimes with stuff. And when people actually, and I'm often struggle to take people with me, so I'm like, this is amazing, and we can do this, and everybody else is here going, what are you on? What are you on about? I don't know what you're talking about, because I think everyone can tell what's in my head. So although I do lots of things really well, I am not very good at taking a team with me. I almost have to go, oh, hang on, let me come back here and let me try and explain what's in my head, because it's a bit of a mess. So,
yeah. Hey, very honest of you. Very, very honest of you, Ali. In fact, I'm going to continue this this chain of questioning, if you don't mind. Are you a good communicator, Ali?
I am so communicating is interesting, because communication is huge and covers a multitude of areas. So standing up and doing public speaking, okay, actually. Being directive under pressure, very good. Explaining clearly, maybe if I have planned it out and thought about what I'm trying to say and why I'm trying to say it. Off the cuff, when somebody we're in a position where I'm not familiar with the topic and I'm not familiar with the room, no, I'd say not. I have to go away and reflect. I can't do that straight away. So yes and no. How about yourself?
Yeah. Well, one more question for you, Ali. First, are you trustworthy, Ali?
Oh, I like to think so. I'd love to think so. Yeah. Absolutely. The one thing that I'm passionate about and tie myself in knots in is that if I say I'm going to do something, I'll do it. And I expect that in other people, like partners and like family and everything. So that's my benchmark for trust. If you say you're going to do something, you do it. Yeah, I've just learned something then about myself. And I was like, yeah, that's
yeah, possibly. The reason why I asked those three questions is because I've got a course, Creating Confident People Leaders and Creating Confident Change Leaders, and I asked those questions on that course. I go, are you a good leader? And then, on what makes a good leader? And we have a debate and a discussion about it. And what comes out is that what makes a good leader to one person is slightly different to somebody else. And then, are you a good communicator? And then how do you communicate? And so how one person communicates is slightly different to another person. And then, are you trustworthy? Well, typically people go, I like to think so. But for all three of those things, whether it's trust, whether it's communication, or whether it's leadership, I think it's not as important what our belief about ourselves is as about what the recipient of the serve, I'll call it a service, whether it's a communication message, whether it's a trusting activity or trust, or whether it's leadership. It's about how other people see and believe us. That's, for me, is what's important. And typically, what a mistake that I see a lot of leaders doing is leading people the way that we like to be led, communicating the way that we like to communicate or be communicated to, and trust we use as our own benchmark, as opposed to maybe somebody else's benchmark for trust. And I think all three of those things are through the eyes of the other person. But when you step up to leadership and to your first leadership position, you try to do those three things in the way that you would like them done to yourself. So I think the sooner that you get, and I think your point about getting external support and getting support can open your eyes to actually how you are, and recognizing that everybody in front of you is different and everybody will need a different communication style, a different leadership style potentially, and have different expectations on trust. Because your trust example there, I like to think that I do everything that I am asked, but in other people's eyes, I might not do them within the same time scale that they would have liked them to be done. But I'm still. So am I reliable? Yes, in my own eyes. but maybe not in other people's eyes when the task has originally been agreed.
Yeah, absolutely.
What you think? What are you thinking there, Ali, based on those 3 questions and what you just said?
Yeah, I completely agree with you, and that's why the value of doing team days, like sort of insights discovery, for example, which I used to run quite a lot, was that you could have those really open conversations based around the pillars. So you could talk about what does great communication mean to me? How do I like to be communicated with? What does trust mean to me? And how would you break trust with me? And how would you build trust with me? And those those types of team days. And I remember doing them very early on in my career at Virgin. I remember having those light bulb moments of, oh, nobody else, other people aren't the same as me, and other people don't have the same likes and dislikes and don't work the same, and their brain doesn't work the same. And it was absolutely enlightening, and they're almost like the bread and butter of early management is doing those types of days.
Yeah, completely. And to be the servant leader that you mentioned earlier on, it's about other people. It's not about yourself, and it's not about us as individuals. It's about everybody that we are leading. And only by understanding how we are seen through everybody else's eyes can we start to serve for everybody else as well. So it might be asking ourselves different questions that we've never been asked, because we've never been in a position where we've had to answer. I think leadership can be quite a challenge, can't it? It's a lot of looking in the mirror as opposed to looking out of the window. Rather than looking at other people, it's about looking at ourselves and seeing how we are turning up and what perception of ourselves is everybody seeing and everybody getting.
Absolutely, yeah. It's one of the toughest roles you'll ever do, being a leader of people. And some people actually aren't great at it and kind of go, like, I don't want to be a leader of people, and that should be okay, because you've got to move between strategic and tactical often, depending on your role. You've got to move between task and people, which the brain doesn't coexist very well with that. You've got to be vulnerable, but you've also got to be resilient and tough and set the direction and sometimes make some tough decisions. You need to be open, but also you need to be very, very careful about oversharing. So you need to get that balance right. And a lot of that comes with making lots of mistakes, which if you're in the right company culture and you've got the right support network and mentors around you, then you can absolutely do that. But we don't all have that luxury. We sometimes work for organisations that don't allow you to fail and don't allow you to get it wrong and do come down on you and never forget. So it's tough, and especially in your 20s when you first start out as leaders, because yes, you're passionate about the brand, for example, and you're very good at the work that you do. It can be really tough, and that's where organisations must step up and invest in their people's development.
Yeah, completely. I was nodding all the way then as well, because I think if you imagine an axle on a car, you've got people capability on one wheel and you've got process on another. And typically the first line managers are very good at the process, but building people capability is not a natural strength that they've got. And what you've got to try to do is to build both of these things so that the wheels move forward together. Because if you're only really good at one, then it'll just continue to spin on the wheel's axle. And I think the sooner that you serve others, the greater the results that you will get as well. So just I'm conscious of the time, Ali, in terms of, so we said about behaviours at the start and servant leadership. If you could summarise the key leadership behaviours, what would you be looking for in a line manager a successful line manager?
So I think what you can do to really think about this in a nice, easy, simple way is to think about the Gallup. To take the Gallup Q12 report and look at the outputs of that. So what do most employees need and want from their organisations? Because ultimately it's actually from the line managers, and it's regular check-ins. It's really caring about them, asking about their development, giving them the tools to do their job, and allowing them the environment to get things wrong and to really support them. And if you can do all that consistently and really well, and it's not easy, and you need support to get it right, and somebody really mentoring you. If you can do all that, then you will have a thriving team.
Completely, I love that. And I think maybe just if we had to have a third conversation, which I would love the opportunity to do, maybe creating that environment for your people to thrive in could be the topic of conversation that we talk about next, because that is about your behaviours, the question, how you set it up, behaviours, and the questions you ask, or the regularity of certain stuff, and rather than try to rush that conversation in the closing few minutes now, I think that would be worthy of a longer conversation on maybe the steps that a line manager or a leader can take to create an environment where their people thrive, if you're open to that.
Yeah, absolutely. Let's do it.
Perfect. Well, Alison Tansey, I just want to say thank you so much again for this insightful conversation. Have you got anything exciting planned in the next few days or week?
Yes, I'm going to go to Ibiza for a few days, rest and relaxation with my little girls. So it's, yeah.
Before or after the puppies?
Before the puppies arrive. So the puppies are arriving mid-November, and I need to have had a rest before then. Yeah. That's going to be busy.
Yeah, amazing. Well, Ali, I just want to say thanks so much again. Enjoy your well-deserved and earned break, and good luck with the puppies.
Thank you. Thanks, Lee. Speak soon.
Speak to you soon. Bye-bye.